Where they got it from, we unfortunately do not know.
Marx reveals the details publicly for the first time.
Part of the industrial premises caught fire, and we were able to save a typewriter from the flames and put it aside for ourselves.
With the typewriter, they made stencils to use on a duplicating machine built with smuggled parts.
We did the duplicating in the dormitory. Work on the typewriter was done using a silencer.
Marx, who was the camp electrician, rigged up a warning light to alert them if the guards approached. The prisoners printed enough literature to supply witnesses in northwest Germany. How was it smuggled out of the camp? Marx found a way.
Getting the material outside was not difficult. We could pass through the electrically charged barbed wire fence, as I constructed the insulators in such a way that one could pull the wires apart.
There was a song that also made its way out of a camp. It got to Switzerland and soon spread to the witnesses across Europe.
We received a song via Switzerland written by Brother Frost in Sachsenhausen, entitled Forward, Your Witnesses. C'est le cantique en avant témoin de Jéhovah, enfin I often hummed this song during my internment, and this song encouraged me a lot.
September 1st, 1939. German army forces invade Poland. The world begins its bloody plunge into total war. The Nazi government has no tolerance for conscientious objectives. Heinrich Dickmann and his brother August were in Sachsenhausen. The SS tried a new pressure tactic on the witnesses.
Soon after the war broke out, November 1st, we Jehovah's Witnesses had to assemble at the entrance.
August Dickmann had to perform military service, and Baranovsky, the commander whose nickname was Foursquare, asked Himmler to confirm the death sentence. That came through, and the prisoners built a huge wall for the bullets. The whole camp was assembled. I just want to mention that the commander delivered a talk before the shooting. His microphone was standing about there. I can clearly remember one sentence when he said, "The prisoner August Dickmann does not regard himself a citizen of the German Reich, but rather a citizen of the kingdom of God." Suddenly, a member of the SS came between the barracks with August Dickmann.
August was standing at the front, and we about 100 brothers, were standing at the most 8 or 10 paces away from him.
He had to stand with his face to the wall, and there were 7 members of the SS. An officer with the rank of Sturmbannführer, that is with 4 stars, gave the order to shoot. When the shots were fired, he fell straight to the ground, and the SS officer drew his pistol and gave him the coup de grâce, as was the custom.
August was lying there, and the commander comes. Okay, he says, whoever signs can go home immediately, and whoever does not sign will soon be lying next to him. Two brothers suddenly stepped forward. No, they said, we don't want to sign. We already signed, not to withdraw our signatures. Then I had to go to Foursquare. So, he says, what have you learned? I said, I am and I remain one of Jehovah's Witnesses. You'll be the next one to be shot, he said. Well, 5 months later he was dead, and I am still alive.
Pressure was also put on female witness prisoners to support the war effort. A large number of witness women worked in a sewing room in Ravensbrück. During the severe winter of 1939, 400 witnesses were confronted with a choice.
We went outside and the commander came, held up his hand and said, "Whoever will not sew these bags for our soldiers, step aside." He had hardly finished speaking when the whole column stepped aside.
The punishment, 5 days standing in the cold without moving. At night, the 400 slept on the frigid floor of the punishment block. At the end of the 5th day, they were locked up and put on starvation rations.
Yes, we sang through it all. We quoted Bible texts to each other until we grew so weak that we just lay on the floor. No straw, no blankets. And then Himmler came to take a look at his victims. "You're having a bad time, but we are fine. Can't you see yet your God has abandoned you? We could do whatever we want to." And then we answered him, "The God whom we are serving can save us, and even if he doesn't, we will still not serve you." Then the door was closed, and he personally introduced beating as a punishment.
Waltraud Kusserow was taken to a factory near the Oberems camp. She was shown a huge drawing board for designing bombs.
I said, "No, I can draw flowers and landscapes, but nothing of this sort." I went on to explain to them that 2 of my brothers had been executed because they refused to take up arms. And now I should make these arms? No, I cannot do that.
At Wewelsburg, the solidarity of the witnesses made the difference for 26 of them who were doomed to death by hard labor. The 26 had refused military service. The SS wanted them dead.
They were beaten and driven by the Kapos, as well as by SS personnel who were sent there, and by other prisoners who allowed themselves to be used for that purpose. During the work, some collapsed under the load of heavy stones, only to be forced to get back up again. If you were to relate this martyrdom in detail, you could fill volumes.
The weakest of the 26 now became the sole target.
He had to push a wheelbarrow full of stones, very heavy, in a circle around the courtyard until he collapsed.
The other prisoners were to pour water over him till he revived. Then the ordeal was repeated. After the 3rd time, the prisoner did not get up. The commander, assuming he was near death, kicked him up against the barracks wall.
As soon as the lights went out during the night, we were able to pull him by his legs out of sight of the guards, rubbed him until he was warm, and gave him something to eat. The next morning, he was standing in again. Not one of them died.
Jehovah's Witnesses earned the high esteem of other inmates by their unconditional steadfastness toward their principles and conviction.